We got 5 different types of filters that we're going to be talking about today. We've got undergravel filters, sponge filters, hang on the back filters, sumps, and canister filters. Now these filters are a wide range of sizes. They're not just one size. Sumps and canister filters get really, really big. I mean, you see the sand filters that are on pools, that's a type of canister filter. It's a filter within a canister filter. They go all kinds of sizes, all kinds of styles, but the basic, bare bones, bring it down to the nitty gritty, you got 5 styles of filter. Now we're going to go over these different 5 styles. We're going to get into how they work, and I really can't say which one's best for you because undergravels work all the way up to 55 plus gallons. Sponge filters, depending upon how many you have in the tank, can go all the way up also. While some are more convenient to have, there really is no don't do. The only real don't do's would be getting a sump for a 5-gallon tank or a canister filter for a 10-gallon tank. Usually tanks that are under 29 gallons are used for sump filters to build a sump out of. So, yeah, you're not going to really want to have a sump or a canister filter for anything under like 30 gallons. Once you get to a 40-gallon breeder and start going up from there, yes, sumps and canisters are your best advantage. So we're going to start out with the easy stuff. We're going to hit undergravel filters, which is really self-explanatory. It is a grate with lift tubes. You put gravel on top of it. You can either put air or a power head on top of the lift tubes. As water goes up through it, it gets pulled down through the gravel. The gravel collects all of the muck, and it creates its own biology, and that's where things get filtered. All of the good bacteria and everything grows in the substrate. All of the water and everything is getting pulled down through the substrate to the bottom of the tank, and then up the lift tubes and back into the tank up top. It's a big whirly cycle. If you have a 55-gallon with 2 undergravel lift tubes or 4, you're going to have different cycles in the tank where you'll get swirls. Works good for circulating the tank. Adding oxygen is really cheap. Now, if you're just running air, like I've got an endless loop air system that supplies all of my tanks. So the undergravels are run off of air. When you run them off of air, they don't get as much flow as if you put a power head on it. And if you look at the bottom of your tank, if you've got the ability to look under the stand and look at the physical bottom of the tank, you can see the air is pulling water in. You'll have a clean spot by the lift tube that's maybe a few inches around. Whereas if you had a power head on it, it might actually suck liquid all the way from that little 1x1 square all the way across it. It could do a big area, depending upon the size of the power head that you've got on it, because they've also got different flow power heads. You got a small tank, you don't want a high flow power head. You got a big tank with a lot of stuff, you might want a high flow power head. It just helps the flow in the undergravel filters. The next type of filter is a sponge filter. Basic concept, you have a tube with air and a sponge. The liquid goes through the sponge, the air pulls the liquid up through the tube, flows water through the sponge and up and out. The sponge is the cleaning aspect of it. You take the sponge out, you knock it out, spray it out, clean it out, put it back in, you've done cleaned your filter. Now some people will go to an extreme on this, and they will take a 1x1 filter block and stick it about an inch or 2 away from the back of their tank if they have their tank sitting sideways in a rack. They will put a lift tube with an exit in the sponge, so they'll have a hollow void in the back of the tank where all the water is. It's filtered water. The air in the lift tube take the water from the back side of the sponge and push it back to the front side of the sponge, which creates a circular cycle, and it pulls the water, the dirty water in, cleans it, and expels it back out. That is still a sponge filter. You're using a sponge to filter things. The sponge is pretty much the only filter that you have. Some sponge filters do come with little compartments in them where you can put media in them, but not all of them. So it's all a matter of which style of sponge filter you decide to go with. I'm not going to say one's better than the other. It's a sponge. It uses air. They all get clogged up. You need to go in, you need to take them apart, you need to go and poke out all of the debris and stuff that gets in the air port, because the air ports will plug up with debris. Little piece of wire tie from a bread bag, poke a hole out, blow it out, put it back together, good to go. That is a downfall of a sponge filter. The air ports do get plugged up and they stop flowing. You have to keep an eye on them. Got a lot of tanks, almost 100, if not around 100 of them. 50 or so, if not more, run off of air. Actually, the majority of them are run off of air. So yeah, I'm running, granted, the IBC totes, I've got sponge filters that are like 3 foot tall, with big masses of filter media wrapped around the bottom. PVC pipe with holes drilled in it. It's still a sponge filter. Same idea, bigger scale. Now the next one that we're going to talk about is hang on the back filter. Those are really good for nano tanks all the way up 55, 75 gallon tanks. You can get 30 to 60 gallon hang on the back filters or dual compartment, dual cartridges. Put them on, run them. The replaceable cartridges I do not replace. I take them, I wash them out, I put them back in. A lot of the bacteria stays in the filter if you do that. You don't have to take these cartridges out and throw them out and rely on what bacteria builds up in the actual plastic casing itself. You can wash out these filters, put them back in. You don't have to throw them out every time you change them. You're restarting the cycle in that particular cartridge filter every time you do that. If you decide that you want to change out cartridge filters and you have a double cartridge setup, change out one at a time. If you have a small one for 5, 10, 20 gallon tanks that have a single cartridge, not a whole lot you can do with those. Clean them as much as you can. Don't throw them out. Throw them out after the cotton and the material has gotten to the point where it's super wore out and it's not really collecting anything anymore. Then change out the bag. Hopefully inside the filter and everything inside the tank has got enough bacteria in it that it doesn't hurt the cycle very much to throw a new cartridge in there. One of my biggest concerns with this stuff is kickstarting the cycle off again, because you done started everything fresh and it's going to bite you in the butt because you're probably going to lose fish. The next type of filter, canister filters. I am not a fan of canister filters. I personally do not like canister filters. My biggest pet peeve with canister filters is you cannot see what's going on. If the flow slows down, you can be staring at that tank for almost a month. If you look at something every day, you're not going to notice changes. You look at your kids, you look at your wife, you look at your husband, you look at your family members, you don't see changes because you see them every day. Something drastic has to happen for you to notice. A haircut, shaving a beard off, something like that. With these tanks, with canisters, something drastic has to happen. You come out one day and it's just dribbling out the exit. That's a plugged canister. You should have cleaned it a month ago. That's what I don't like about them. Some canisters do come clear or smoked so that you can see inside of them. That's a bonus. Helps. A lot of people like the FX series. You can't see anything in them. They work really great. People love them. I only use canisters because I wanted to try them out so that I had some kind of experience with canisters and I could say something about them. Can't really talk about something if you've got no experience with it. You have no right giving input on something that you don't know about. So I've been running the Sun canisters, which are kind of like a fluval because you can't see through them. Problem with the Suns is it might say it's a 900 gallon an hour pump, but it's actually like a 600 gallon an hour pump. Their numbers are so far escalated versus what they actually do. I don't have any way of actually measuring it. but I can definitely say when a hang on the back filter outflows something that's designed for a 90-gallon tank, you know their numbers are off. Sun canister filters are cheap. They work good. They're just underpowered. Simple enough. Fluvels a big name. Lots of people have them. Lots of people love them. You're paying for the name, but you're also paying for a quality product. Other than that, really can't say much about it. Now, my favorite of all of the types of filters is a sump filter. It's another tank cut up into sections. You've got biomedia, you've got scrubbers, you've got mechanical media, you've got all kinds of stuff to keep the water nice and clean. You've got a big volume of water for the bacteria to work in. It's got an opportunity to do its thing. They work great. They're easy to look at. They're easy to maintain. Little complicated to clean because there's a lot to it, but just like a canister filter, there's a lot to a canister filter to clean also. Many compartments, you got to take it all apart. Canisters, you've got to worry about O-rings. Sumps, you don't. You've got to worry about leaky pipes with sumps. Not so bad. You don't really have to worry about the output of your pump because the pump in the sump is a separate item. So you had to buy the pump, unless the sump came with it. You have to buy the pump separate, and you can gauge, depending upon the type of tank you have, what size pump you need. It's really simple, really easy to do. I hope this has really helped out a lot and kind of clarified things on what kind of filters you can use. Remember, canisters and sumps, big tanks. Under gravel, sponge filters and hang on the backs, 55 and under. Basic rule of thumb, it's real easy, not so hard. Try not to overcomplicate things. Try not to chase numbers. Enjoy the fish hobby. Don't make it a stress. Really appreciate everybody that's watched it all the way through. If you can, throw an emoji or something down in there. Let me know you made it all the way through because we got a lot of channel skippers. They go in, they watch the video, only pieces, parts, and then they're going to turn around and comment on stuff that, well, was in the video, but they didn't see it because they skipped around. So, if you're a video skipper, I'm sorry you missed out on parts of the video that you probably should have seen. If you watched this thing straight through, really appreciate it. You guys are the best. Like I said, comments down. Let me know you watched it. Let me know what you think about this thing. I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a great day. Keep fishy, my friends.